The first thing everyone noticed was the silence that followed the words "hands off the lady," retired SEAL single dad said, because silence in a glass and steel boardroom was louder than any shout. One moment, the air had been thick with arrogance, pressure, and carefully disguised threats, and the next, it felt as if time itself had stalled, waiting to see whether courage still had a place in a world ruled by money and power. No one there knew yet that this single sentence, spoken by a man most of them had already dismissed, was about to unravel a carefully planned ambush and change several lives forever. If you believe stories about kindness, courage, and second chances still matter in today's world, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. Daniel Cross had not planned to be in that boardroom at all. 5 years earlier, his life had revolved around early mornings on military bases, long deployments, and the unspoken brotherhood of men who trusted one another with their lives. The Navy SEAL career had ended abruptly after an injury that never fully healed, leaving him with a limp he tried to hide and memories he could never outrun. When his wife passed away unexpectedly a year later, the world he understood collapsed entirely, leaving him alone with a 6-year-old daughter who still waited by the window every evening, half expecting her mother to come home. Retirement had not felt like rest. It felt like exile. Daniel did what many men like him did when the uniform was gone. He kept his head down, took a security consulting job, and focused on being present for his child. The job was simple on paper: assess risks, protect executives, make sure meetings stayed orderly. It paid the bills and allowed him to be home in time to cook dinner and help with homework. He did not talk about his past, and most people did not ask. To them, he was just another quiet contractor with broad shoulders and eyes that never stopped scanning a room. The woman at the center of the boardroom that day was Elena Moore, the interim CEO of a powerful biotech firm navigating turbulent waters. She had inherited the position after her father's sudden illness, stepping into a role many believed she was too inexperienced to handle. The board tolerated her publicly, while quietly sharpening knives behind closed doors. Daniel had been assigned to her detail only a week earlier, and in that short time he noticed the strain she carried. Late nights, tight smiles, and the way she sometimes paused before entering meetings, as if bracing herself for impact. The meeting had been framed as routine, a strategic review with major stakeholders present. Daniel stood near the wall, unobtrusive, watching body language the way he once watched enemy terrain. He saw it before Elena did: the coordinated glances, the documents placed deliberately out of reach, the subtle repositioning of chairs to box her in. This was not a discussion. It was a trap designed to corner her into resigning or signing away control under the guise of corporate necessity. As the pressure mounted, the tone in the room shifted from professional to predatory. Accusations were dressed as concerns, and personal attacks hid behind polished language. Elena's posture stiffened, and for a moment Daniel saw not a powerful executive, but a woman standing alone against a wall of entitlement. He felt something old stir inside him, the instinct that had once sent him running toward gunfire without hesitation. He told himself it was not his place. He was hired security, not a participant. But the room reminded him too much of places where silence had cost lives. When one of the board members leaned forward, invading Elena's space, voice dripping with condescension and implied threat, Daniel stepped away from the wall before he fully realized he was moving. The words came out, steady, grounded, and impossible to ignore. "Hands off the lady," retired SEAL single dad said, and the room froze. The challenge was immediate. Several men bristled, offended that a contractor dared interrupt them. Others laughed nervously, trying to diffuse what they saw as an inconvenience. But Daniel did not raise his voice or posture aggressively. He simply stood there, presence heavy with unspoken authority. Years of command had taught him that true power rarely needed to shout. What followed was not violence, but something far more devastating to the ambush: exposure. Daniel calmly outlined what he had observed: the coordinated tactics, the breach of protocol, and the legal risks of coercion. He referenced regulations, ethics clauses, and potential liabilities with precision that surprised everyone. His security background had required deep familiarity with corporate governance, and he had done his homework on this company the moment he was assigned. The board members realized too late that the quiet man in the corner was not unprepared. As the tension thickened, Elena found her footing again. The fog of intimidation lifted just enough for her to see allies where she had assumed none existed. The meeting adjourned abruptly, not with the triumphant ousting the board had planned, but with confusion and thinly veiled frustration. Daniel escorted Elena out, his limp more noticeable now that the adrenaline had faded, his hands slightly unsteady. The fallout was immediate. Daniel expected to be fired by the end of the day. He had crossed a line, challenged powerful people, and disrupted a carefully constructed hierarchy. Instead, he received a call that evening from Elena herself, requesting a private conversation. She did not thank him with dramatic words or promises. She simply told him that what he had done mattered, that she had nearly walked away from a fight she was not ready to lose, and that his intervention reminded her she was not alone. At home, Daniel tucked his daughter into bed that night with a heaviness in his chest. He wondered what example he was setting. The world he had left behind had clear lines between right and wrong. Civilian life blurred those lines until courage often felt inconvenient. As he turned off the light, his daughter asked him why he always helped people even when it was hard. He had no perfect answer, but he knew the question itself meant he was doing something right. Over the next weeks, the boardroom ambush unraveled further. Investigations were launched, emails surfaced, alliances shifted. Elena, bolstered by unexpected support from within the company, began to assert her leadership with clarity and resolve. Daniel remained in the background, continuing his work, refusing public credit. Yet people noticed. Employees greeted him differently. Executives sought his counsel. His reputation quietly transformed from hired muscle to trusted guardian. The greatest challenge, however, was internal. Daniel struggled with the resurfacing of his past. Standing up in that boardroom had reopened doors he thought were closed forever. The protector, the leader, the man willing to stand between danger and the vulnerable, had never truly retired. Accepting that part of himself again meant accepting the pain that came with it. Nights were restless. Memories returned uninvited, but alongside them came a renewed sense of purpose. Elena faced her own battles. The scrutiny intensified, the expectations doubled. Every decision was questioned. Yet she learned to draw strength not from proving others wrong, but from staying aligned with her values. The knowledge that someone would stand up when lines were crossed gave her courage to draw those lines herself. Their professional relationship remained grounded in respect, shaped by an unspoken understanding of loss, resilience, and responsibility. The turning point came months later during a shareholders' summit meant to finalize Elena's position permanently. The same figures who had once tried to undermine her now watched from the sidelines as evidence of misconduct, forced several board members to resign. The company emerged shaken but intact. Its culture irreversibly changed. Daniel stood once again near the wall, observing, protecting, choosing silence this time because it was no longer needed. After the summit, Elena thanked Daniel in a quieter way. She told him that leadership was often lonely, and that sometimes survival depended on one person willing to speak when others stayed silent. Daniel returned home that evening feeling lighter than he had in years. He cooked dinner, listened to his daughter recount her day, and realized that the man he wanted her to see was not just a survivor of war or loss, but someone who believed decency was worth defending anywhere. As this story moves you, take a moment to reflect on the times you wished someone would speak up, or the moments you found the courage to do so yourself. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can reach people who need them. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Comment below with the words, "I believe in courage," if you feel that standing up for others, even at personal risk, still matters in today's world. Daniel never sought recognition, and history would not record his name in corporate headlines. But in one boardroom, on one critical day, His refusal to stay silent shifted the balance between fear and integrity. He showed that heroism does not end when the uniform comes off, that being a single dad does not weaken a man, and that sometimes the most powerful battles are fought without fists or weapons, only with conviction. And for those who witnessed it, and those who hear the story now, the echo of those simple words remains a reminder that decency, when defended, can still stop an ambush before it destroys what matters most.